Welcome everybody to the Cali Current Podcast. It's your host Grimace,
And Ish.
and I just want to remind everybody, thank you so very much for taking the time to view our podcast. Remember to like and share and subscribe to our podcast, the Cali Current Podcast, coming live from Orange County, Santa Ana, representing the whole California and the whole Mother Earth.
Yes, everybody, thank you very much again for being here. We appreciate your viewership, and we do want to thank you very much for allowing us to come into your households and or wherever you may be broadcasting on YouTube or on Spotify. So what do we have in store for today?
Yeah, so today one of the issues we wanted to talk about was motorcyclists and driving with motorcycle riders on the freeways, on the streets. I myself was used to be living life on two wheels. I tremendously miss it so much, but I did. It's a pretty dangerous and very thrilling way to live.
Okay.
But yeah, for now, at least for now, I've kind of retired from the two wheel life. But
So
how do you?
I've heard that it's a very dangerous life in a way because actually somebody as a rider told me today that they had a bike that they were usually doing 140 most of the time, and then
Whoa.
he realized that, oh, I gotta slow down or I gotta get rid of this bike because it's gonna eventually kill me.
Nah.
So I know what you mean because I'm sure you've probably done that when you had your bike before, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, I've never. I mean, I think the fastest I ever went was probably 138 miles per
Yeah,
hour.
that's fast.
Um, or you know what? I follow the rules. It was probably like
Yeah.
65 miles an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't go 138 because that's like incriminating myself, I think.
Yeah. Well, no. Well, not anymore. If they didn't catch you do it, it didn't happen. That's how it works.
Yeah, no, I was just kidding. I don't think I did that.
No.
Or my recollection. But anyways, how do you feel when you drive on the roads with motorcycle riders? Me personally, I don't know. Like I just kind of like I could hear them coming when I'm driving,
Yeah.
and I always like just kind of squeeze over to whatever side of the lane I'm on to give them that extra space.
Yeah.
So if I'm in the carpool lane, then I kind of hug or hug the left hand lane,
Shoulder.
the shoulder, left hand shoulder more. That way, because the motorcycle riders tend to split the lanes.
Correct.
Splitting lanes just means when they share the line with the same lane with you,
Correct.
and then they basically split it and go past you. So that's why, like me as a motorcycle rider, I would prefer it when people would kind of like hug the other side of the road or the lane. That way, there's more space for me to pass by. So whenever I hear them coming up, I always just like move over to the side and let them ride by. And every time I do that, most of the time, if they throw a thumbs up or a peace sign to me. What about you? I mean, that's just me because since I used to ride,
Yeah.
I inherently know that. But what about yourself that you've never really ridden?
Well, I only drive a vehicle. I've never driven on two wheels ever in my life. I don't think I ever would because of the fact that I'm scared of bikes. I mean, it's hard enough to ride a bicycle, but to ride an actual motorcycle. But I'm out on the road a lot because I do drive Uber and Lyft. And today I was on the road basically for 6-7 hours straight because I went all over Southern California from Laguna Beach all the way to the mountain, back down to San Diego. And today I saw that. I saw lane splitting, if that's how you want to put it.
Mm-hmm.
And usually the guys, because I am courteous enough, move over to the left, depending on where I am. But I'm usually on the last lane, carpool lane, because I do have a passenger. I give them the courtesy, and they always give me mostly the peace sign. But no, I mean, as far as to say that I have that experience, I do not. So I wouldn't know. But it is sometimes awful, especially when a big bike like a hog comes by and the guy just starts revving his engine because he wants everybody to get out of his way because clearly, you don't notice it, but he's there. But at the same time, he wants to sort of be a little bit facetious and tell everybody that he's there by revving his engine. So that's a little annoying. And that's what I saw today.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, a hog is like a Harley Davidson type motorcycle, like the ones that something like that, kind of like the Terminator drove in Terminator Part 2. If you guys, that's a good reference for you guys. So yeah, the hogs or Harley type Davidson cars, motorcycles, they usually rev their engine or throw pipes so they could let themselves be known That way, you could be more aware of them and you won't hit them. But then there's also been times when, I mean, I myself don't really want to say that the motorcycle riders like that become obnoxious, but I have seen videos where the motorcycle riders, there's like road rage. And I've even seen one time when the motorcycle rider, I'm not too sure what the beef was between the car and the vehicle, but long story short, in the video clip, they just show the motorcycle rider. He like literally uses his foot to kick the front wheel of the passenger vehicle. I guess like he was having an issue with, and next thing you know, he hit it right in the front of the tire. That made the vehicle swerve, crash into the center embankment, and then cause another vehicle crash. So in that instance, I mean, I'm not too sure what the beef was, but yeah, that was kind of the motorcycle rider road raging, and usually whenever I see road rage between a motorcyclist and a vehicle, I mean, the motorcyclist is doesn't really have any protection versus the vehicle has the whole
Correct.
vehicle, the whole
Correct.
shell.
Yeah. No, the airbags too help a lot,
Oh yeah.
especially all the airbags that are installed, the curtain, the front wheel and whatever else, they're all over the car now, especially a modern car from this day and age. But I want to recount a story actually, just to finish this off in terms of the motorcycles. One time when I was living way early, like 2013, 14, I lived in Anaheim, and we saw that, or we heard a big bang, or I heard a big bang outside of the window, and because I lived on the second floor, and right there, I mean, we saw it from the balcony that there was a motorcycle, a hog actually, down, and the guy was down. He was motionless,
Oh
and
damn.
it was sad. And I mean, it was sad to see because the minivan that had hit him, I think it was a young female in probably early 20s that was driving. Of course, she was distraught because of what had happened. Who knows how it went down, but it seems like somebody made the left turn with a motorcycle, and the oncoming vehicle just hit it, and it was just a sad time. So motorcyclists out there, just be careful. We want you all to be safe, and we thank you very much for sharing the road. We do want to share the road. So yeah, I'm sorry that I never got to experience a motorcycle, but it seems like there's a lot going on with the motorcycle world.
Yeah. And then there's other time when I saw his motorcyclist. He was doing that thing like revving, letting people be
Okay.
known, and then it was pretty loud. It was like, okay, he's there, but so I got in my turning lane and I had kind of stopped, but I saw him still going, the motorcycle rider, and I still got a chance to see it was like a Tacoma truck cut him off,
Wow.
and I was like, whoa, he just like almost hit the motorcycle because he just cut him off in the front.
Yeah.
And then I saw the motorcycle rider like obviously got mad. And he goes around him, speeds up, and literally stops in front of him and just stop traffic. And it was no stop signs, no red lights or nothing like that.
That's too bad.
He got out of his vehicle, out of the motorcycle, and I just saw him like pointing and telling the guy stuff.
He was upset.
Yeah, he was upset, which with reason to be too, because I mean, on the motorcycle, if you go down, that could be the end of your story.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
that could all end right there. So, I wanted to see what was gonna happen, but then no, we just ended up leaving because who knows, there could have
Yeah.
been shots ringing out, and
Road
also
rage.
yeah, and also I had to be on. I was on a time schedule, so I couldn't sit there and wait.
No, it's not worth it. Just move on.
It's not, but yeah, but then also as a motorcycle rider, I understand where they're coming from. Like that's really upsetting when somebody potentially, could have handicapped him,
Yeah.
killed him. So
There's a lot of things that could have happened that day.
yeah, so I understand his frustration and all the motorcycle riders. Just be safe out there
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Just,
Yeah.
we share the road no matter what. We all have to agree to be on the road together, especially the vehicles don't have the right of way. But, always make sure you check your mirrors at all times that the motorcyclists are there because they're important too. They have to get home to their families and their friends and their loved ones as well. But let me
Yeah.
recount something too, actually. I think I've seen it a couple times when a motorcyclist was hitting mirrors just because he wanted to be,
mm,
I guess, mean about it. But, I don't know what the deal was there. But speaking of which, since we're on the road sometimes, and I'm on the road a lot, driving Lyft and Uber, I was, like I said earlier, I was on the mountain coming down because I had picked somebody up close to where I was, like 20 minutes away. I dropped off, and then I picked up this female that I took down to San Diego. And on the way down, you always get that one motorist in a vehicle, doesn't matter, that was driving the actual 30 mile per hour posted speed limit. I get why that would be the case because, they have to follow the rules. I don't know if this person is from the state or not, but usually possibly everybody that's from the state usually does not follow that 30 mile per hour. I guess it's the law, but in my way, the way I see it, it's a recommendation. And he was doing it facetiously. In other words, he was doing it deliberately, even though I sort of had flashed my lights at him and I had 6 cars behind me. He still wouldn't relent. He wouldn't pull over to the side so everybody else can pass by. But he knew what he was doing.
So how fast was he going, and what was the posted speed limit?
He was following the speed limit at all time. If it was either 30 miles per hour downhill or 25 miles per hour. And nobody drives 25 miles per hour unless it's posted, correct? But not everybody follows that. That's just a guideline, I guess, if that's how you want to put it. Because everybody in California doesn't follow that. They usually do a 15 mile at the most over the posted limit because it's a yellow sign.
So kind of like on the California freeways, the speed limit is 65, but most vehicles are not doing 65.
Most of the vehicles,
the ones in the right-hand lane, may be doing 65.
Most of the vehicles are going 80. Because why? Because I'm there. I'm out there all the time. I experience it. And the few that want to be above that, they always go between 80 and I'll say 100-ish.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, hypothetically, that is the law, the speed limit. But there has been times in my experience when, I'm driving, I'm doing about 70, and then I see like a highway patrol vehicle approaching, and I'm just like, oh, dang, maybe I should have been doing 65 and I was doing 70. But he passed me, doing 75 and no issue. So I was just like, okay, it's kind of like an acceptable thing, like you were saying. No one really does the 65 speed limit, and he was doing 75, and didn't, which was good because I mean I don't want to be cited for going 5 miles above the posted speed limit either.
Usually when the cops are doing faster than you, that means they have somewhere to be. Either it's I don't know, another meeting at the police station, or possibly going to get lunch or something. I don't know. I don't get all the time why cops are always in a hurry. They don't put their sirens if they're in that much of a hurry if it's a official call. But who knows what their thinking is? We don't know.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, just as long as you're driving, like, also I know that there's certain speed traps, or I wouldn't say speed traps, maybe. Well, yeah, speed traps. Like wherever I see, like policeman posted. One of the ones that I've seen that I always make sure I am doing the speed limit is coming off the 91 freeway. So I'm going east.
Yeah.
Coming from around, what would it be, like the Anaheim area.
Okay.
So coming like from Anaheim, the 91, 91 east. Wait, no. It's the
15?
Oh no, yeah, it is. So say coming off the 57, I'm taking the 91 east where it merges with the 55. Yeah. So right there where it merges with the 55, it's right where the toll road starts.
Yeah.
Right there. So whether you decide to take the toll, but if you don't take the toll road, there's like even like a little space, like literally a cement spot where the highway patrol usually kind of hides there.
I know where it is.
Yeah, and there's usually a speed trap there. So when I'm right there, I'm usually doing 65 for sure, or even 60. Even 60 because since it's like a left-hand turn, like a wide freeway left-hand turn.
Yeah.
Then right there, because there's been at least 2 times where I'm aware, like, okay, that speed trap, and then there has been a highway patrolman there. So there is spots right there where you do want to kind of do the speed limit, but also I recognize why they're posted there because it's like one of those long white, like a left-hand turn on the freeway type thing.
Correct, because the 2 lanes that go to the left go towards the 55 and the one 55 south, and the other lane, the 55 north, and the one to the right, the only one to the right goes directly to the 55 south, and that's why there's 2 lanes because it's most of the traffic that's getting on the northbound. But I'd like to let everybody know, I know everybody has their own favorite GPS app that they like to use. Me personally, I'm not trying to disparage anybody or any company, but I like to use Waze, W-A-Z-E. Why? Because that one gives you the information real time. It actually gives you the spots where police or highway patrol or any type of patrol is hiding out or in general in plain view or just on the other side of the freeway. It helps you let the other users be warned. So that's a great useful tool to have, the Waze GPS app.
Okay, and does the Waze also? Because I don't use Waze. The one I
No?
always use is Google Maps.
Okay.
So Waze is the same and also gives you like directions, turn left, turn right.
It gives you real time, exact, precise directions on the top. It's very useful. Actually, I'm not really supposed to say this, but one of the two rideshare apps uses it as an alternative, because the other one
Oh,
uses
really?
Google Maps as the only alternative. But I rather prefer
Right.
to use Waze because it's more accurate and the directions are easy flowing and you could actually easily understand where you're going. Because, and like I said, I don't want to disparage any of the, GPS apps that are out there that are useful for everybody. But one of those apps, possibly mentioned or not, gives you the long route to the, let's say if you're going to go from point A to point B, it's going to give you point C to go around instead of going in a straight line, basically. So it's better to be using Waze, and they're not paying me. We're not promoting them. They're not a sponsor, nothing like that. Just trust me. Waze is a much better app for your ride in general or your driving skills.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard of Waze, and I would hear about that too. That they let you know about speed traps.
Everything, yeah.
But for whatever reason, I always just kind of thought it was like I don't know why. I never thought it was like a Google Maps that gives you real time directions.
It gives you better than real time because sometimes Google Maps misses something.
Yeah,
Like I
that's,
said,
I've
and
experienced
I'm
that.
not
Yeah.
trying to disparage any GPS or any type of technology that we have, but Waze is the best application out there. Trust me. I mean, I've been on the road for a while. I've been driving. I've tried all of them. Even I've tried Apple Maps, and I've tried them all. Scout, if it's even still operational, but I mean, I guess the Garmin. Everybody might some people might still have the Garmin or whatever other GPS technology there is still out there. But
Mm.
Waze is the best. Trust me.
Yeah, I mean, I had a Garmin, but then I ended up I think I don't I think I threw it away. I probably just left it in the
Maybe-
garage or something.
Maybe because they probably stopped updating the software.
Yeah.
They didn't do updates, or I don't know the case, mate. I mean, they probably went out of business. I don't even know, honestly. I don't even know if they sell Garmin anymore. I haven't even seen them around anymore. But I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to disparage any technology out there. But this brings me to something that I was gonna talk about actually. The same person that gave me that motorcycle story that he said that he had a fast bike, but then he switched to a chopper because he didn't want to kill himself. Basically, he told me that he was driving in Utah last week because he was a bartender and he went out there to work for his brother's friends or something. And he said that in Utah that everybody drives the speed limit. That if you even go 1 to 2 or 3 miles over the speed limit, you're gonna get pulled over and you're gonna get notified by Highway Patrol that you're over the limit, and or either they're gonna ticket you. But he said he got lucky because he got a warning because he had barely received his commercial license and he got off with a warning. He got lucky, and that hardly ever happens if you're outside of a state that's not California, and if you're from California with license plates from here, that it's most likely guaranteed you're gonna get ticketed regardless. So he got out of a good one, and that's gonna bring us to our next point because we are gonna talk about the times that we possibly got out of something that we were supposed to get a ticket of.
Well, before that, for the
Four.
next point, on that same one, I remember maybe what are we like? Dang, 7 years ago, 2017.
Okay.
I was up north in Sacramento, and I was there for about a week, and I was driving on the roads, and I mean, not to rag on the Sacramento drivers, but I feel like they weren't as synchronized as we are down here in Southern California. I feel like down here, everyone is more like yeah, you'll have people that aren't with the program, but for the majority, I feel most people know that okay, the left-hand lane is a speed lane.
Okay.
That's the lane where, like you said, people are doing like 80 miles an hour. People
You're
are
talking
doing,
about the lane all the way to the left.
yeah, the lane all the way to the left.
Fast lane, basically.
Yeah, the one right before the carpool lane.
Okay, yeah, right. Okay, the last lane besides the HOV, it's called HOV now.
Yeah, so the one before you get to the HOV, the high occupancy vehicle,
Correct.
is what the
That's
HOV
exactly
stands
correct.
for, which is basically the carpool lane. So that one, I feel like as a collective, and I'm kind of proud of everybody in Southern California for respecting that's typically the fast lane. Everyone's doing 80 miles an hour
Yeah.
right there. Everyone's doing
At least
speed.
80 miles per hour, but at least, yeah.
Yeah. And then everyone, then they got the next one a little bit slower.
Yeah.
And then all the way to the right is like 65 miles an hour or doing like slow, traffic permitting.
Yeah.
But when I was up north in Sacramento and Oakland area, well, that was driving between those areas. Yeah, they were just like, people on the left were going kind of slow. People in the middle were going kind of slow. And I was just like, oh, why isn't everybody here with it? Like down in Southern California. I mean, I may be wrong. It might have just been the areas or the time that I was driving. But yeah, I mean, down here in Southern California, I feel like everyone's more or less with it. I mean, you're going to have your random people, who are not with the that kind of driving. But I don't know. What about when you were in Utah? Was everybody kind of as a collective driving, on the same team, same
I've been
page?
to Utah. You know what? And I've been driving through a lot of states, Colorado, Utah. I mean, Northern Cal. I mean, Texas. I've gone to Texas. I used to work in Arizona. Everybody, just so you understand, in the Phoenix area, everybody that's not from the town drives awful. I mean, awful. They cut you off. When they cut you off with no blinker, they get mad at you and they honk at you and they start flipping you off, by the way. And I'm a California driver. I try to drive as careful. Yeah, I might drive a little fast, but at least I'm careful. I always put my blinker. But no, people over there, and I call these people, I don't think there's a term for it. I call them off-the-wall drivers. And I think that's what happened to you in Sacramento, off-the-wall driving, because people were just doing the opposite. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but I felt like over there was like a bunch, like no one was really like, there was not like no slow, like fast lane, medium, and then slow. Over there, it was just like everybody was just kind of doing their own thing. And I was like, oh my gosh.
That doesn't sound like typical California drivers. People are usually, bending the rules a little bit. But at least, they know what they're doing in terms of, okay, I'm going to stay down a certain speed. Except for the people that are going 100 miles per hour and just zigzagging. And I saw that today, actually. I saw a car. For whatever reason, he was driving at least 100, 105 maybe. He went from the last lane all the way to the right lane to get off the freeway, and he literally almost clipped somebody from the front because that was just very endangering driving, and I guess public endangerment, is that how you want to call it?
Oh, wow.
But no, that was horrible. But don't you just hate it also the most when you're in the fast lane or the carpool lane or close to the carpool lane and the car is actually driving 65 miles per hour, especially if you're in California? Because in Texas, I know the speed limit is 80 for sure. Like in the long stretches of road that it's a rural area and there's nothing around for miles and miles. But I know that driving 60 or 65 and everybody else is going 80 and you still don't get it, that, I don't know. You really got to think about what's happening there, people.
Yeah, that one does kind of grind my gears. I mean, I get it. They're following the speed limit. It is the law. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, okay, if you're going to follow the law and, maybe don't do it in the left-hand speed lane.
Well, it's called the flow of traffic. But if you're not with it, stay on the lane that's the safest, on the right lane. Because if a car comes from behind you or there's road rage and somebody wants to just, not brake check you, but tailgate, I mean, that's what I mean. Because you brake check them if you're going slow enough or if you're going fast enough and somebody's still trying to tailgate you, you brake check them, but that's illegal too. Don't do that. Don't ever do that. It's very dangerous. One time, some guy did it to me, and he literally stopped like at 2 a.m. when I was coming home. And he stopped in the middle of the road, like 4, 5, 6-lane highway, and I don't know what he was going to do. I was scared. That was dangerous.
And for those of you who don't know what getting brake checked or when someone does a brake check on you, it's basically brake check is the vehicle in the front slams on the brakes or brakes abruptly. So the vehicle in the back has to also check your brakes theoretically, and you also got to slam or abruptly stepped on your brakes.
Correct. That's correct. Yeah.
That's usually brake checking is usually what the people that try to do insurance scams and then try to blame others.
That can happen. Yeah. People do that.
That's what scammers do. That's the technique they use is called the brake check. They slam on the brake suddenly, and then usually by facts, it's usually the person in the back is typically at fault. That's why those scammers like to do the brake check technique because most people are not ready for that abrupt use of the brakes. So you got to be paying attention. I mean, if you're paying attention, then they won't get you, and if you keep your safe distance, also they won't, you won't be susceptible to becoming a victim of being to those brake check scam insurance type people.
Well, my opinion of that is that you shouldn't be tailgating anybody to begin with.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because it is dangerous. But usually, typically, the people that brake check you were probably the first people that were actually tailgating you, and just to prove a point, they'll brake check you just because they can prove a point. But then it could turn into something even worse. So no, it might be annoying, but don't let somebody that brake checked you, don't tailgate, please, because it will keep happening. And it happened to me. They stopped in the middle of a 6-lane highway just to prove a point that they can mess with me in the middle of the freeway.
Oh, they got complete stop, a 0 miles per hour?
Yes, complete stop. And I was lucky that there was literally no cars like 200 yards back still. They were far away. And
then you just waited and then...
But it was 2 in the morning. It was 2 in the morning. And I was tired. I'm like, what's happening? He's the one that started tailgating me, and then to top it off, he started brake checking me. But then when he realized that I was tailgating him, he literally completely stopped, and I had to go around him, and I had to keep going. But there's a lot of people that are out there that are gonna probably possibly annoy you, but just don't be flustered because it's not worth it. It's not worth to risk your life. It's not worth it because there's a story that I could tell you. I don't know what happened exactly. I guess my parents, compadres, godparents to their son, the rest in peace. He's no longer around, but, his brother, who was the one in the vehicle, he was, I guess, with 2 friends, and they were driving down the highway, and I don't know how it went down, but I think it had to do with brake checking or whatever the case may have been. But the driver of that vehicle, according to what I was told, pulled out, I don't know if it was a semi-automatic weapon, and he basically shot 3 people dead. Only the driver survived, but barely. And my compadre's son had passed away from it was basically murder. And it's not worth it. You guys don't ever want to go through that, especially it was a tragedy for the family, for my parents, compadres, their godparents. They were godparents to their son.
Yeah, my condolences to the loved ones of the loss.
Yeah.
But so don't they do that, like whenever someone's being tailgated, they brake check or hit the brakes to like, hey, stop tailgating me. And if you are, just always remember a reminder, always try to keep, I believe it's the amount of distance of seconds you want to have to the vehicle in front of you is depending on the speed limit. So if the speed limit is 45 miles an hour, then you want to have 4.5 seconds time difference.
Yeah.
And when you're on the freeway, then it's 6.5 seconds time distance between you and the car in front of you or behind you. And then you count the seconds just by...
Just select an object.
Yeah, an object. So when the say, for example, the back tires of the vehicle in front of you, when they pass, say, a freeway sign, then it should be 6.5 seconds by the time your rear tires pass same freeway sign. And that's a good rule of thumb. Yeah, that way you don't have to mess with brake checkers. Yeah. Or that way, if you do have a scam insurance person trying to set you up, to get your insurance money or, get you to have an insurance claim, then you'll have enough time to react and brake safely.
Yeah, and also I want to just give a quick point that when you're traveling out of state and there's 2 lanes in each highway on each side going northbound and eastbound, northbound, southbound, eastbound, or westbound, typically in California, the left lane is for the people to pass. That doesn't mean you could be cruising on the left lane and never change the lane, especially when vehicles that are going faster than you are trying to move over, but then the rig on the right, you're matching the same speed on the rig on the right if it's a big rig, and nobody can pass because you think you're going the speed limit, but in reality, the left lane is for passing. I know for certain in the state of Colorado, they enforce that very, very strictly, and I've seen people be pulled over for that because they don't want to just get off the second lane and move over to the right lane. I've seen people literally get pulled over for them just staying on the left lane and never switching over to the right. In Colorado, they take that very seriously. And Arizona, they do, but I mean, the highway patrol mostly enforces speeders, but that's what I've seen with my own eyes. But yes, just be mindful that usually, typically, if there's 2 lanes on each side of the freeway or the highway or wherever you're at in whatever state you're in, be mindful that typically if it's not posted, assume that the right lane is for the slow vehicles only, and all you have to do is the left lane is use it for the fact that you're just going to pass and move over right away to the right lane, because that's the actual reason why it was 2 lanes to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, I typically pass on the left lane, but I do pass people on the right lane, particularly when they're driving like slow or they're like a slow poke driver. Then, for whatever reason, then I don't know why. Then I feel like I got to pass them on the right hand side just for being a slow driver.
It's not because they're a slow driver. It's because they're possibly unaware or they're just oblivious to the fact that they're causing everybody to slow down behind them when they're supposed to be on the right lane, because that's where the big rigs or the semis usually have to go. That's for all the people that aren't going to the speed limit, basically. The left lane is not for speeding. I know that. I'm not making assumptions that it is. I'm just letting you know that typically for the passing lane, it's usually the left lane. But yeah, people will use the right lane. I've used it. I mean, because sometimes people are driving 60 when the speed limit is posted 60 on a construction zone. And since they're like, oh, I'm following the law, like you said, and they stay on the left lane, but they're supposed to be on the right lane regardless, because, people are going to pass them regardless.
Yeah. I remember one time there was this car tailgating me, and then there's like a bug on my windshield. So then I started hitting the windshield wiper washer fluids.
Oh.
And then since he was tailgating me, then he got sprayed with my windshield wiper fluid. And I know.
It's a typical thing. It happens to everybody. I know that's happened to you, and you're like, it's dry as a bone out here. Why is there mist? Why is there rain? Where's the clouds? And all you see is blue on top of you. But yeah, I know
it's raining.
I know that feeling. But I mean, just try to be mindful. We're all sharing the road. Let's just be courteous to one another.
Yeah, if we all work as a unit, then we could be all more efficiently, get to our destinations all better on the freeways and highways. And also like when you see people signaling, I think we as a collective, I mean, a lot of times I've noticed, and other friends have told me too, like, oh, every time I try to switch lanes, the cars speed up intentionally, or they don't let you in intentionally. And I think as a collective, we should all like work as a team. We're all trying to get to our destinations on time and speeding. So maybe we all have to have more of a courtesy, like helping each other out more on the freeways. Especially nowadays, I feel like ever since 2020, people have been more on edge, more road rage incidents, and I think also since gun ownership, took a increase ever since 2020, then the road rage has only intensified. So that's why I'm saying, like, as a collective, we should all help each other out. If you see someone trying to get in the lane, adjust to help them out. That's what I would say. So we could all work as a collective team, everybody on the roads.
Teamwork makes the dream work. And let me say something too. I know all of you have seen those YouTube videos where the road rage happens. Yeah, it looks, not funny or comical, because it isn't, especially when there's some immediate danger to somebody, especially when it comes to road rage. We've seen those videos. You don't want to be in those videos, okay? We don't want to see you in those videos as an audience. And we did thank you very much for being here with the Cali Current Podcast. Your co-host Ish
and Grimace,
and we do want to invite you to like, share, subscribe, and please hit that bell notification button to always get notified about our videos, brand new videos coming out every week. And also going into this last item that has to do with, since we're talking about driving and being on the road, being on the highways in general, have you ever been pulled over just for, I guess, whatever reason? I've been pulled over several times. I can recount all my tickets that I've been pulled over for. I'm not going to name them right now because I'm not trying to let everybody know my driving history
and driving habits, bad driving habits.
Yeah, well, maybe 1 or 2 was probably speeding. But the first one that I remember, there was 3 cars. There was 2 cars racing, and I was not involved at all. But I was the last car from those 3 cars, and I got pulled over for being the slowest car. You would think that the police officers would pull them over because they were racing, and I wasn't even part of it. But he pulled me over in a bowling alley area parking lot. And I remember that was my second ticket, but I didn't deserve that ticket. That's why I'm recounting it right now. And there's another story I'm going to tell, but I want you to tell your. I mean, do you have a where you've been let go story where the cop gave you a warning or something like that?
Well, one of the ones that I did want to bring up, yes, I know it is very important to wear your seatbelt, safety belt. They save countless amount of lives, and one of the greatest inventions of the vehicle. But there was this time when I was in I think it was like a 1996 red Mustang, and for whatever reason, sometimes I get in vehicles. Nowadays, I do try to make a conscious effort to wear seatbelts. But, back then I wouldn't really wear a seatbelt, or I would wear it, but I just sometimes, I was younger. I didn't really wear it. So I didn't wear it, and then I got pulled over by a motorcycle officer. And I just thought it was kind of odd. Like, I understand he's doing his job, enforcing the law. Like, you got to wear your seatbelt ticket, seatbelt, click it or ticket. But at the same time, it's pretty ironic. It's like, this officer is riding on two wheels with no seatbelt, and I'm riding in four wheels in an enclosed vehicle, made of metal and hardened plastic, and he's citing me for not wearing a seatbelt. Yeah. So to me, that was just kind of like, I understand you have concern to enforce the law, I guess, but at the same time, I was like, it's kind of ironic because you should be giving yourself a ticket because you're
not being safe.
A seatbelt either. Yeah, you're not being safe.
And to top it off, it's the motorcycle. That's the first thing that we started talking about, the first subject.
Yeah, so, I mean, I understand the whole click it or ticket thing. Yeah, it's safety and whatnot. But I don't know. I'm just kind of having a personal opinion that maybe that shouldn't be like a ticketable offense. Like, yeah, definitely wear it. Yeah, it's it's paramount to everybody's safety, but to have, officers wasting, using their time to enforce that, especially the ones on two wheels, it just seems kind of ironic to me.
It's ironic, but it's also a little hypocritical if you get pulled over by a police officer vehicle, four wheels, that they're not wearing their seatbelts, but they're making you a citation because you're not wearing yours. I mean, if that's not irony, then I don't know what is. I mean, that's hypocritical to its core, because that happens. Police officers, I'm sorry to say, or highway patrols sometimes don't even wear their seatbelts, but they're enforcing the law, but they're not above the law either. And that, I mean, I want to say something too about, I guess he was possibly highway patrol. So in 2010, when I came back from Texas, I drove back, and at that time, my cousin had sold me a Mitsubishi Galant, 1995. It had a lot of paint marks because whoever owned it before my cousin used it for their painting business. But it looked like a beat-up beater, period. It didn't matter. I mean, there was nothing wrong with it. I don't mind jalopies. I've owned jalopies all my life,
But it was a beat-up beater.
Yeah. So my point is, I fixed it up. I did whatever I had to make it run good because I was going to drive it back to California because I was living in Texas in 2010, April. That's when I came back. So when I got here to California, I was already here, not even a few days, maybe a week possibly. But the point is it had tags from Texas. And my license was from Texas still because I had to renew my license to get it renewed again from California since I lived here all my life. I only lived in Texas for 6 months, mind you. So when I was here, I remember being pulled over and, out of nowhere, it's like I saw the cherries and berries, the reds and blues. And it's like, okay, I wonder what I did wrong because I'm wearing my seatbelt. Everything looked fine. Yeah, the car looks like a POS, but it was my POS. So
was that the POS is piece of poop?
Yeah, that type of POS, not point of sale, POS.
Point of sale.
So my point is, I was literally down the street, like around the corner from my parents' house, and I stopped and I'm like, I wonder what I'm going to be pulled over for. And of course, I wasn't aware that I had done anything because I would have already admitted to myself in my head, oh, I can't believe I did that. We all do that. When we think we know we got pulled over for, we already know in our head. And then when a cop asks you, why you got pulled over? And then you basically incriminate yourself and you tell them why. Because if you didn't have a reason to pull you over, you just incriminated yourself and they're going to use that against you. But anyways, I said, no, sir, what did I get pulled over, sir, for? It's like, he asked me straight up, do you have any hookers and cocaine in your trunk? I'm like, what? What? Really?
Dang, that's kind
Hookers
of.
and cocaine. Do you? No, no. He said, "Do you have a dead hooker in your trunk or cocaine?" I'm like, "What? Are you kidding me?"
I mean, it's kind of a funny joke, but it is kind of offensive at the same time. He could have taken it as a funny
I
joke,
wasn't
but it is offensive.
offended.
It is a little
I
offensive
wasn't
too.
offended. I was more like dumbfounded that I would be asked that question. So whatever. So I'm like, no, sir. Would you like to see? So I gladly, and he said, yes, sure. And I gladly got out of the vehicle, opened my trunk, and he looked in there. There was nothing in there. I don't remember what was in there. Maybe jumper cables, I think, and the spare tire, I think. That's all I had in there because, like I said, I bought that vehicle for my cousin maybe a month before, and I just got it all prepared so I can drive it back to Cali, all
What
registered.
what area were you driving in?
By my parents' house in Eastvale, California. Like, I was literally down the street from their house, around the corner.
Eastville. And did you have did you have hair on the top like you do now, or was it like
Oh yeah, no, I have
short-shaven?
a full head of hair. But
Huh.
I mean, look, he then after he saw that I didn't have what he expected me to have in my trunk because that was just an excuse to see what was in my trunk. I'm sure he wanted to get me for something like drugs or whatever the case may have been. He said, "Oh, I got another call, like out of nowhere." And then you want to know the time that I did get pulled over in Irvine, California, when I went to go visit my friend at
Oh
the
no.
store he worked at.
Irvine.
That's
Irvine
when I
sounds
was
like
shaved.
a ticket to
That's
me.
that's when I had my head shaved like you back in like 1998.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I
Like
remember that.
1998. I think I had told you, right?
No, I remember that you back in the days.
Oh
you
yeah, I
had,
used to shave my
this-
head like
a-
yours
a
right now.
haircut
Yeah,
like this,
correct.
yeah.
Not anymore. But yeah, I remember I was in a red Hyundai, 1995. I mean, that's the year I graduated high school, and that was a 95 Hyundai.
Damn. So you had a brand new car or
No,
car of the year?
no. That was in 98. But
Oh, okay. So
when I got
3-year
pulled
old
over.
car.
But my point is, it was at night. It was like a 9 at night. Two cops, partners. They pulled me over like right when I was coming out of the parking lot. I basically parked on the street as soon as I got out of the parking lot because they saw me in the parking lot. So they're like, "What are you doing here?" Like straight out, like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "I came to drop off my friend at work." He's like, "Do you have?" They straight out asked me, "Do you have any drugs in the car?" I'm like, "No." I don't know what they said. I think they were, of course, they were racially profiling me.
Yeah, racial profile.
But because I had a bald head, I'm like, this is Tustin/Irvine area. I'm like, okay. I mean, what? No Hispanics live in this area, or what? What is there to be concerned about? And they also use the excuse, "Oh, we have another call," and they sped off. That's the excuse they used at that time. Have you ever been racially profiled before? Just for being, I mean, well, I'm not gonna say that you're brown. You're very light skinned.
Yeah, I mean, I'm light skinned, but at the same time, just I guess for the the hairstyle that I use, I have been pulled over in Huntington Beach.
Okay.
He said I did like an unsafe lane change, which I was just like, I just changed lanes, but he didn't
Very-
give me a ticket either, like you're saying. That's
Very
all.
unsuspecting.
But I think like why they would just say like, oh, I got another call, I gotta go, because I would like based on the information, all that stuff. I think so. Say whenever they do racial profile, see you're able to articulate yourself and let them know I don't have anything in my trunk. Would you like to see it? So maybe whenever the racial profiling and they do actually racially profile like a drug runner or a narco traficante, they probably wouldn't have the same response as you and wouldn't be able to articulate as yourself, and then they would probably have a what is it called another tally for their what's it called when they're trying to hit their goals,
Oh, you're talking about their quotas.
their quotas. There you go.
Well, I
So
mean, I think they wanted to get me on something because they had their flashlights. It was nighttime. It was about 9 p.m. ish because my friend at that time, Rudy, he worked a night shift. He always worked night crew. That's what he did. So they usually go in around that time, right? Like an hour or two before the store closes. But
I like to think that they're moving away from the racial profiling now, but I see why they were doing it back in the day, just because the amount of incarcerated people are highly, people of color, black and browns, but still, I mean, then that could be the reason why, it's filled with black and browns because of the racial profiling. So it's kind of like they're feeding the monster that is but it's like it kind of seems like a bad cycle.
Well, you have to understand too. In 1998 or the early thousands, we didn't have cameras on our phones until recently, 2010 and higher, when the advent of the iPhone came out.
That's right.
And then everybody had cameras, all the companies. So now that everybody has cameras, and there's cameras everywhere you go, you're basically on camera all day, every day, basically every second of your life. If you're outside in public, there's cameras all over the city, wherever you live, wherever you go, at stores, everywhere. They're everywhere. Everybody has a cell phone camera. Anybody and everybody can record you. So yeah, watch what you do, especially if you're in law enforcement, because now I'm not saying that they're gonna get recorded. I'm saying that everything is visible now with our phones, because everybody records everything nowadays. Yeah. So yeah, so it's done less because people have phones and people can record at any moment's notice. Especially, because I see a lot of YouTube videos on police accountability or lack thereof. And, I mean, that's something that I like. It's my niche that I just go to. Not as much anymore, but I watch a lot of those videos. And I know what to say now because I've been in maybe once in my life a tricky situation where I had to explain myself, besides the 2 times that I was racially profiled. But no matter what, if you're not racially profiled or if you're just being pulled over, if you think that you have a good reason, always have dash cams in your vehicle. I do it for my ride share, and they really are a lifesaver, because actually about a few years ago, I was rear-ended by somebody, and that car insurance company didn't want to pay up. But as soon as I showed my cameras to my attorneys, they ponied up. They had to. They had no choice, because that insurance adjuster kept going around saying, oh, well, we can't do anything because we can't get a hold of our insured person. I'm like, okay, sure, buddy.
Yeah, and whenever if you ever do get pulled over, just try not to give them too much information.
No.
If they ask you, do you know why I pulled you over? Just let them know that you don't know, and just
don't incriminate yourself. Period.
Exactly.
Just don't say anything. Use the Fifth Amendment. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you can will be used against you. That's why they tell you this, but people don't stay silent. So yeah, don't incriminate yourself, and you always use the Fifth Amendment. And you also have a Fourth Amendment, not to be searched or seized, or for them to go into your personal belongings without your authorization.
Yeah, and then just one last story I have is back on my motorcycle riding days, I was on the freeway, and during that time I just had a permit. I still yet hadn't taken my test to actually have the M1 license for motorcycle riding. So with a permit, you're not actually supposed to be on the freeways. And then I was kind of driving this. At first, I was kind of speeding, but then I started doing the speed limit. And then I noticed a highway patrol behind me. And I was like, oh, good thing I'm doing the speed limit. And I just started kind of like switching lanes. And I noticed him switching lanes with me too.
Basket weaving or switching lanes? There's a difference. Basket weaving is you're going around a vehicle, and then you're coming back to the center lane, and you're going around the other vehicle. That's basket weaving, like you're going in waves. Is that what you were doing?
No, it was switching lanes. I was just switching lanes. Okay. I might have gotten in front of a vehicle, but I wasn't really basket weaving. And then he pulled me over, and then when he lit me up, I was just thinking, I'm on 2 wheels and he's on 4. I could probably escape him.
But you just had your permit only.
Yeah, I just had the permit.
Were you capable of doing that? You think you were capable of just outrunning a police officer?
I think I was capable. Motorcycles are pretty fast, but at the same time, I was thinking I didn't want to get pulled over either, because I was like, oh, if he's gonna find out I'm not supposed to be on the freeway, and then I'm gonna be a couple steps further from getting my license. But then I remembered some kid at the college I was going to had just passed away from the same reason, trying to evade the police on a motorcycle.
Wow, that's tragic.
Yeah, so I was just like, I just pulled over. Long story short, he tells me he pulls me over just because he saw I was like you said, weaving through traffic. He's like, hey, I see you going through switching lanes really fast, so just calm down, take it down, and I don't want to see you splattered on the road. And
verbal warning?
Yeah, verbal warning.
Oh, wow.
He didn't even run my license or anything. And I was like, wow, good thing I didn't try to jam out on him or nothing.
Smooth talker over here.
I didn't even smooth talk him. He was just, I think he was just a good officer doing his job,
Yeah, that is a good officer.
So I was like,
at least he was warning you, because you could have gotten away with losing your license to begin with. And you would have never had your M1, period. Yeah, exactly. You would have lost it before you even got it.
Exactly. And I think also he was probably trying to see, is this motorcycle rider gonna try to jam out on me and start a car
wow.
chase?
No,
Cause
you don't want to be on the news. You don't. I mean, not because you want to be in the news. You don't want to be on the news being chased by the helicopter trying to evade police.
I mean, once the helicopter's on you, then yeah, it's pretty hard to shake them
It's over.
off.
Yeah, you can't shake them off.
But if you could shake them off in like the first 30 seconds, then you might have a chance. I mean, I've seen some videos online where they lose them pretty fast, but yeah, don't want to encourage none of that because it's dangerous and just respect the law. You know, it shouldn't be too bad.
I hope it was a lesson learned. And the moral of the story is, motorcycle drivers, you know what not to do.
Yeah, just keep it safe out there, everybody, and obey the laws.
Stay safe, yeah. Because when I grew up in my old neighborhood, my first neighborhood, when we first got to this country, with the first house that my father shared with my grandfather, the neighbor across the street, I knew him, when I was a kid, but it turns out that he had passed away in a motorcycle accident. I don't know if it was raining or not, but that was the story that I heard. And he was a good guy, it's just too bad that when I was a kid, I knew him, but after, a few years not living in the neighborhood, he had passed away from a motorcycle accident. So yeah, it's very tragic. So make sure you're not speeding, make sure you're not basket weaving, make sure you're not switching lanes unexpectedly. Vehicles, hopefully everybody out there show the road, and we want to make sure that everybody gets home safely out at all times. We thank you very much for being here, the Cali Current Podcast, your host Ish.
And Grimace, and just make sure to be safe on the roads, and let's all work as a collective team on the roads out there so we get there safe and efficiently together.
Yes. So don't forget to tune in. We're going to come to you next week with a brand new topic here for your entertainment pleasure.
Yeah, so any comments, questions, or concerns, put them down in the comments, and we'll try to address them as quickly as we can, or even on the next episode.
And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and please hit that bell notification button. Please be on the lookout for our next video. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening, or enjoy the rest of your day.
Peace out, y'all.